Conservative New Media viewers, Jeremy Lin fans around the world, what's up? It's me, PFV Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert, and we're here to discuss Brooklyn's loss tonight to the Boston Celtics, 114-105 in Boston, Massachusetts. Brooklyn falls to 20-61 on the season. Celtics improved to 52-29 on the year. What happened in this game was that the Nets came out extremely flat at the start. They were outscored 28-13 in the first quarter. 13 points was the lowest the Nets have scored in any quarter this season. So they were minus 15 in the first quarter, and that pretty much cost them this game. And it's unfortunate because I think that Jeremy played an incredible game tonight. In fact, I think it was the best game of his season and one of the best games of his career, and I'll be talking about it plenty in the coming moments. I don't blame Brooklyn. They didn't have anything to play for, and Boston had everything to play for because they are trying to get the number one seed in the Eastern Conference, and they really needed to win this game, and they played like it from the start. But once Brooklyn kind of found their motivation, I think in the third quarter, then this became a very, very serious game, even though Boston won by 9. At one point, the deficit for Brooklyn in this game was 27 points, and it looked like just a kind of laughable rout. But then Brooklyn turned it up, and I think they really showed how improved they are and how good their core can be. And I think right now their core is really Jeremy, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, and Brook Lopez. And Rondae had some outstanding moments tonight. I just love the way that he played in the last two games. He's just shown things that I didn't know that he had in terms of effort and motivation and will to win, and it's just great. It's really, really good to see. So let's go through statistics quickly because I want to talk about how Jeremy did in this game. Off the bench, Justin Hamilton led all the bench players, 11 points, 4 rebounds. I should also say that there was heavy amount of evaluation in this game. So the best players for Brooklyn were not played in terms of their bench players. And I say that because Andrew Nicholson played in this game, and I don't think Andrew Nicholson's better than Trevor Booker. So Brooklyn didn't go all out to win this game. But once they got serious about trying to win it, then they played at a much different level. So it kind of puts things into perspective. Isaiah Whitehead, 6 points, 4 assists off the bench. Starters, Karis LeVert, 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Had some nice flashes tonight. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, 17 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals. He had some huge moments in this game, including being a big part of the comeback that Brooklyn made later in this game. Brook Lopez, 25.7 rebounds. Brook has now surpassed Buck Williams, I believe. It was the person who, for the most points scored by a player in Nets franchise history. So congratulations to Brook for that. That's an excellent achievement. And look, Brook had some great moments in this game. He played very well, and he's just a very skilled player. And he's so big, it's just hard to deal with him. And he showed that again tonight. Jeremy Lin, 26 points. Sorry, I just got distracted by something for a second. 26 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. Jeremy played 34 minutes, shot 4 of 9 from the field, including 2 of 5 from three-point range, 16 of 17 from the free throw line. No steals, 1 blocked shot, 1 turnover, 4 personal fouls. Jeremy's plus-minus was a minus 10. The 17 free throw attempts are the most in any game of Jeremy's career. I mean, he was just working it big time. And I think in the third quarter Boston got into the penalty early. And so Jeremy was out on the perimeter dribbling around, and they kept fouling him. And he was selling it really well. Jeremy, in the Chicago video, the game number 80 video, I gave Jeremy a hard time for how he played, particularly in the second half. Jeremy played almost a perfect game tonight, in my opinion. He was unbelievable. He had 26 points on only 9 shot attempts. That's unbelievable and incredibly rare that you will see that type of ratio. That's almost 3-to-1, which is ridiculous. I mean, a good ratio of points to field goal attempts is like 1.5, and this was almost 3.0. That just gives you an idea of what was happening tonight. I thought Jeremy did just a brilliant job of controlling the pace of this game and deciding when to pass and when to shoot. I gave him a hard time last game for shooting too much. Well, he certainly didn't do that tonight. He had, let me just look at my own list here. He had 13, I counted, would-be assists. So things that could have been assists had guys made shots, or they were fouled when they were going for a shot when Jeremy passed them the ball and so forth. This easily could have been a triple-double game for Jeremy. No question about it. I think this is better than any game he's had this season, including the 32-point game that he had and including the 21-9-9 game that he had in game number 2 against the Indiana Pacers that resulted in a win. Because, like I said, there's no doubt Jeremy could have had 10 assists in this game without question. He played excellent defense. He was totally under control. And he just was just in complete command of this game from all respects. He dictated the pace. He got guys open shots. He was scoring when he needed to. And Boston was scared to death of him, particularly late in this game. And they put Avery Bradley on him, who's the shooting guard, because Bradley's such a good defender. They were double teaming Jeremy. Jeremy and Isaiah Thomas were kind of going back and forth a bit. They have a little bit of a rivalry there. And Jeremy just almost got this done. Not by himself, but through a large measure of his own desire to do it. And like I said, there's several insanity games where you get something like 28 points, maybe 12 rebounds. Or 12 assists, excuse me. This is up there with any of those games. This was essentially Linsanity. Heavy free throws, tons of passing, score pass option, and just completely controlled the game. Thing is, now Jeremy's better than he used to be then. Because what's great with him now, and as I've said this in other videos recently, is Jeremy has the ability to play better from the perimeter. He can shoot more. So if he wants to rely on his perimeter shooting, he can. On the other hand, if he wants to get fouled and get free throws, he can still do that. The only reason we say don't do that as much is so he just doesn't beat his body up. But when he wants to do it, he can do it. And that's a really useful skill for like a playoff game or a playoff series. Okay? Want to draw some fouls? Want to foul some people out of the game? Want to get some easy free throw attempts? Okay, let's do that. This is like the blueprint for how Jeremy Lin can dominate a game. How Jeremy Lin can dominate as a player. Now again, you're not going to get 17 free throw attempts in every game. That's just not realistic, and honestly, it's too much of a pounding. So you can't do that every single game. But the decision making was incredible. The control of the pace was amazing. The overall control that Jeremy had in this game was exceptional. And that's against a Boston team in their own arena who is is one of the best teams in the East, who has Isaiah Thomas on it, and who is incredibly motivated to win this game, and you're not even playing the best guys on your roster. And yet, even with all of that, Jeremy still almost got it done. And it's like I said, this is the true insight into how good Jeremy really is and really can be. If he plays like this, he can be an all-star, no question about it. And again, you can't do this every single night, particularly again with the free throw attempts, but you can play like this every single night or most nights. And I just give tons of credit to Jeremy. He clearly the Nets weren't going all out in this game, obviously, but the way that the roster decisions, the rotations that they used, and the effort that was put out in the first quarter by the team. But Jeremy was pretty locked in early in this game. And Jeremy's competitive. He wanted to do this. He wanted to win. He wants to play well, even when it doesn't matter. When other guys just would kind of, I just don't want to get hurt. But Jeremy's not, he's not wired like that. He doesn't think like that. So this was great. Jeremy also played, this was only the second time all season, I think Jeremy now has played 36 games, where he has played 33 or more minutes in a game. So that's a good sign that he's completely, fully recovered and healed from the hamstring issues and back up to speed. And I really think that this is a good a template and a good kind of sneak peek of how the team can play next year and how Jeremy can look next year, given if they're healthy and everything is in order. Because the Nets they've come a long way, particularly the young guys, particularly in Hollis Jefferson. When you can get, Brooke and Jeremy are going to get things done. But when you can also have Karis LeVert, Rondae Hollis Jefferson, Spencer Dinwiddie, and a couple other guys who can also contribute, and they're really ready to focus and win, that's a pretty formidable team. That is not a team that's going to be easy to beat. And I still don't think people understand that. And I don't think the league understands it yet. They still are kind of looking at the Nets as something of a joke. And it takes time to kind of adjust your perspective, particularly with how far the Nets have come this season. But this was a preview. And it's very encouraging on all fronts. So I'm thrilled tonight. Doesn't matter about losing. It doesn't matter. What matters is the Nets weren't trying full out in effort or in rotations, but then they got focused. They got mad that they were getting blown out, and then they really started to play at a superior level. And they showed that they can compete with a team like Boston, even on the road, and they're just about ready. And it's just really, really great to see. So I'm just really happy, and this was an incredible performance. So that's pretty much all I have to say from an overview perspective on the game. So let's just go through. I have a number of notes tonight, so we'll just go through them relatively quickly. Jeremy is improving in his ability to draw fouls and get a free throw attempts out of it. A couple games ago, there was a moment where Jeremy was fouled on, I think, a three-point attempt. And right as that happened, you could see Spencer Dinwiddie celebrating. And they talked about this on Yes Network. And the reason why Dinwiddie was celebrating was because a couple minutes before that, he was telling Jeremy, hey, if you do this, not only can you get the foul, but you can also get 3 free throws, on being outside of the three-point line. Like, in other words, make sure you put the ball up. As soon as you hear the whistle, throw the ball up so you can get the free throws. And that's what Jeremy did in that situation, and he's starting to get better at that overall. He had a moment like that early in this game, which resulted in, I think, 3 free throws. Actually, it was 2 in this one, but he's improving in that. Jeremy's great at drawing fouls. I mean, usually he gets fouled on his drives, but if he can also improve his ability to get free throw attempts on the perimeter, when he throws the ball up at the basket like he was in a shooting motion, that's going to help him score even more also. Ian Eagle and Donnie Marshall, who were calling tonight's game on Yes Network, said that Brooklyn was in evaluation mode tonight late in the first quarter. They said that, and that was because of what I said previously, which was you see guys like Andrew Nicholson on the court. Again, I'm not trying to put down Andrew Nicholson. It's just we don't know a lot about Andrew Nicholson yet. We don't know if Andrew Nicholson can produce as well as somebody like Trevor Booker, who was healthy tonight, but he didn't play. As far as I understand, he was healthy anyway. So, and you have to do this. This is what it's going to be. They're going to do it next game too. You need to do this, but it helps you understand what's happening in the game more and more. Don't get super frustrated that the Nets don't look good. Well, they might not look their best if they're not playing their best players. I mentioned earlier that the 13 points scored in the first quarter was the lowest for Brooklyn in any quarter this season, but of course they would improve upon their showing as the game continued. Then I made a note in the second quarter, which I said game is a farce now. This is when Boston was just destroying the Nets. And it just... I mean, the Yes Network guys were talking about something else because, it was when you're in a blowout game. And the thing I noticed that even during then, Jeremy was trying hard. I said, Jeremy really only has one speed, which is to go pretty hard in every single game. Now, sometimes that can work against you, but it also can work for you in situations like this. And that would be the case in the third quarter when the comeback really hit full swing. Although the comeback did start in the second quarter. Okay, now why? I don't know why I marked that thing. Sorry. So in the third quarter, and I don't know when it was. I don't have the exact time marked. But I think at some point relatively early on in the third quarter, Coach Atkinson called a timeout and kind of got on the players. I don't know what was said, but I know Donnie Marshall remarked it. Said, yes, since that timeout, Nets have been playing a lot harder. So maybe something like, hey, you guys aren't even trying. This is, come on. This is embarrassing. Even though they were beginning to come back. But... oh, I should say this, though, and then my correction. I said the comeback started in the second quarter. That is not true. The Nets were down 25 points early on in the third quarter. So the worst the game would get was 27 points. So I take that back. The comeback did not begin until the third quarter. And I would imagine that Coach Atkinson's timeout was somewhere around the Nets being down 25 points. And then something could have been said to the effect of, you guys are not even competing. This is a joke. Are you going to try or whatever? Something along those lines. And then after that timeout, the whole game changed. But as I mentioned earlier, I thought Jeremy was playing hard even before then. And I'm not trying to single Jeremy out like he was the good one among all the bad people. No, it's just that's how Jeremy is. Some guys are very competitive. They're really competitive. So even when you tell them, look, you don't have to go all out. This isn't a red line game where you have to just do it. It's all in. Some guys they just don't like to lose. So even in situations where they're evaluating or it's not that serious or it doesn't matter, they're still going to play really, really hard. And Jeremy's like that. And that's a good trait. That's a really good trait to have. So when the rest of the team was ready to pick it up, Jeremy was already in gear, basically. And that's good. Okay. Then, I made a note, and they must have said this on the broadcast. Coach Atkinson took a timeout when the team was down 24 points. So that's when the timeout was called, and that's when everything changed from that point on. Then I made a note that says ball should be going to Jeremy now, and it's not. So I said in the last video, when I was somewhat critical of Jeremy was kind of, he had the ball too much. Okay? He was shooting too much, forcing things a little bit too much. Tonight was a little bit of the opposite, which is he could have had the ball a little bit more. So I said it's not a permanent thing. It's a game-to-game thing. It's a moment-to-moment thing. If you're shooting a lot, but you're hitting your shots, well, great. Then take the ball as much as you want. It's a thing of if you have the ball a lot and you're not hitting shots, then you should move the ball around. Tonight, Jeremy was on point, which means he should have had the ball even more. And it's not a perfect thing. Remember, it was particularly with a young team. They're figuring it out. Rondé's trying to assert himself a little bit more. Karras is trying to assert himself a little bit more. And they need to kind of find the happy medium. And you can never do that until you do it. You just have to work at it and see how it goes. And by doing it. And that's where they're at right now. But it's getting closer and closer all the time. So even though Jeremy could have had a little bit more touches tonight, I'm not mad about it. It's good. You want these young guys to assert themselves more. They need to do that and kind of get a feel for it when they're the guy. So that's fine. I said that Jeremy's, again, he drew the foul on the perimeter. So I just made a note he is getting better and better at drawing those fouls on the perimeter. And that's really going to be important for his game, particularly as it does become more of a jump shot oriented game as compared with more of a driving to the basket game. So the more you can get easy points and cheap points from free throws, the better you're going to do, the better you're going to be. So it's good to see Jeremy doing that. Okay. Then I just made the comeback. Nets are on the comeback. They had cut the lead from 27 points down to 13 points. Donnie Marshall made the comment that unlike the first half, the ball is now moving great for the Nets. And I agree. Less ball sticking, more movement, more energy, and Jeremy was right in the middle of all of that. Okay? Kenny Atkinson kept Brook Lopez and Jeremy Lin in for the entire third quarter tonight. This, I believe, it's the first time all season that Jeremy has played all 12 minutes of a quarter. And I give Coach kudos for that because it worked. They made up a whole bunch of ground and really made the comeback happen during that period of time. And I think it shows that Coach is growing. And he's getting more of a feel for the game instead of, okay, it's 8 minutes and 1 second now. That means Jeremy comes out. So he's getting better and better with that. And it paid dividends tonight. So, and I put Mr. Comeback for Jeremy because, again, he was right on the right in the center of everything that was happening. Okay, moving on into the fourth quarter. As I said earlier, I think the Nets are in very good shape with their kind of 4 or 5 man core. Lynn Levert, Hollis Jefferson, Brook Lopez, and I also put Spencer Dinwiddie in there, and just, you could throw in some other guys in there as well, like an Isaiah Whitehead and maybe a couple other guys. But that core, kind of the way I'm looking at it, it's kind of like one guy at each position. Jeremy's his point guard, Dinwiddie can be your shooting guard, or vice versa, Jeremy at shooting guard, whatever. Levert, small forward, Hollis Jefferson, power forward, Brooks, your center. You need to have real talent at every position and kind of your core guys, and they're getting that now. It's just really enjoyable to watch the young guys coming along so well, so quickly, and they're doing that. It's good to see. Okay, then I put Rondé working super hard to make the comeback happen, which is exactly what he did in the Chicago game. I'm so impressed with him, just like I'm so impressed with Dinwiddie and Levert. As I mentioned in the last video, I I really didn't know about Rondé. Really wasn't sure about him, whether he could do it or whether he had the skill and the ability to be able to make it happen. But I think he's changing the minds of a lot of people in the way that he's performed over these last 2 games. And I'm one of them, and I couldn't be happier. That's great for him, and it's great for the team. Then Jeremy had an excellent defensive moment against Isaiah Thomas, where Isaiah was going against him one-on-one, and Jeremy was playing terrific defense on him and basically forced Isaiah into an air ball 3-pointer, and then the shot clock expired soon after that. So Jeremy was completely engaged at this moment. And then I made the comment, Jeremy's ready to win it and go against Isaiah, because it's not like, look, I don't want to try to say it's some mega rivalry. For all I know, Isaiah and Jeremy get along great once the game's over. But there's been little things, and I remember, they've kind of gone at each other hard, and both of them have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. And I remember one game, Floyd Mayweather was there when they were playing against each other. And, Floyd's kind of egging on Isaiah against Jeremy, because obviously Floyd's not a big Jeremy Lin fan, or he doesn't act like it anyway. So, I don't know. Just a little bit of static there, whatever, but who cares? The thing is, again, Jeremy's not going to back down from anybody. So he's just going to do his thing, and that's definitely what he was doing late in this game. I made the comment again, Jeremy should be getting the ball more here late, and he's not. And this is as I said earlier, okay, the young guys like Rondé in the last game, they didn't pass the ball to Jeremy as much, and they were able to do some good things. Well, okay, that's what happened last time. Let's try to do it again. Well, tonight it didn't work as well. And again, that's you just have to go through it until you figure that out. Tonight will help them figure it out a little bit more, I think, in that respect. And I made the note, and this is on the middle, late of the fourth quarter. Boston is double teaming Lin. They're scared. So they understood now, Lin's killing us. Run traps at him. Run 2 men at him. Let's put Avery Bradley on him to slow him down. And he's the guy we have to worry about. So again, that's kind of the ultimate sign of respect. Then Boston kind of had regained control. They were up by about 10 points, maybe 2 or 3 minutes left. Isaiah Thomas drove to the basket. And Jeremy got hit on the drive, and it looked like it might have been a low blow. I couldn't see it completely, but Isaiah Thomas looked like he was pleased with himself, and Jeremy was hurt. So it's possible Isaiah could have intentionally hit him low, like with an elbow or punch. And Jeremy came out of the game soon after that. And to be fair, the game was probably just about over at that point anyway. So coach took Jeremy and Brook Lopez out at that point in time, kind of conceding the game. And that's fine, but as I told you, this was an instance. Look, I mean, Isaiah Thomas was in discussions for the MVP this season, okay? That's how high up he's been. And Jeremy was right with him this entire game, and may have even gotten Isaiah to resort to a cheap tactic just to kind of try to get the upper hand. So that'll give you an idea of how well Jeremy was playing in this contest. So, and I have nothing against Isaiah Thomas. I like Isaiah Thomas. I mean, I like him. He's a competitive dude, and for his height, he's overcome so much. Good for him. But it was a good battle back and forth. And then finally, I just said, as the game expired, this was just total domination by Jeremy. This was his game. It really was, particularly from the Nets' perspective, but honestly from the overall perspective. Jeremy just took control and implanted his will on this entire game. And it was a battle between him and Isaiah and some other Celtics, and it was just terrific to see. Like I said, this was his best performance of the season, and I think it's a very good sign of things to come as we head into next season. Of course, before we head into next season, there is the next game, which will be the final game of the 2016-2017 Brooklyn Nets season. And that game is game number 82 It will take place in Chicago, Illinois, against the Chicago Bulls. A rematch of that. I'm sure the Bulls will be ready to get their revenge. That game will take place 2 days from now, Wednesday, April 12th, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and I believe the game will be on Yes Network and NBA League Pass. Again, there's a chance that it's on Yes 2 rather than Yes. I don't know the Yankees schedule. If the Yankees are playing, the Major League Baseball team, the New York Yankees, for those of you around the globe who don't know what I'm talking about, if the Yankees are playing at the same time, then I'm sure that Yes Network will be covering the Yankees, which means that that the Nets would get booted into Yes too. I'm not sure, so just check your local listings on that. But look, it was a fun game. It went from being kind of a joke game to a very competitive, serious game. Jeremy played fantastic and showed the best qualities of him as a player. And look, let's go to Chicago and see what happens. I've got to look at where Chicago is at in terms of the playoff positioning and everything. Obviously, that loss to the Nets the other day really hurt them, but they're still fighting for a spot. They're fighting for positioning, as far as I'm understanding. So they should be highly motivated for that contest, the same way that Boston was highly motivated for tonight's game. Okay, that's about it. I hope you're having a great night or a great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Take care. We will talk to you again in about 48 hours from now as the Brooklyn Nets will take the court for their final game of this regular season. Brooklyn travels to Chicago to take on the Bulls in Chicago. So we will see you 2 days.